Hello everybody, greetings and the brightest of blessings, my friends. Holistic Holly here for Tea and Tarot number 4. We are diving deep into the 4 suits, the minor arcana today. So I hope you're all really well. Thank you everyone who's jumping on and catching the replay. Please let me know in the comments if hashtag replay, or let me know where in the world you are, and please continue to comment, drop your questions in throughout this training, whether you're catching the replay, whether you're watching this elsewhere on the internet. Do leave comments, leave questions, and let me know how I can help you with this subject. So yeah, I hope everyone is really well. I hope that you've been enjoying this series so far. If you have, let me know what your biggest takeaways have been, how it's helped you with your tarot practice so far. I would love to hear. Hello Julie, I can see that you've jumped on. I can see a couple of other people have jumped on. I hope that that Facebook is going to be my friend today and show me the comments. Oh, hello Deborah, hello Julie. So good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So we have been on a bit of a journey so far over the last 4 weeks. So we started by introducing the art of intuitive tarot reading. We dispelled a few myths about what tarot is, what it isn't, what it can be used for, and how it can be of great benefit for your own personal journey of discovery and healing. Then we dived deep into the archetypes of the major arcana, and we spread those out over 2 sessions because we really did go deep into those. And this week now we are looking, as I said, at the minor arcana, the 4 suits, also known as pip cards. So if you haven't already, just take a couple of minutes now, if you have got your tarot cards with you, to separate them into the different suits, just because this might be helpful as we go through, just to talk about them so you can have your version of those cards in front of you. It might be nice for you to share some similarities or differences, as all decks aren't made equal. Every deck is different, and so it'd be interesting to hear from you what your cards look like and how they're presenting themselves to you with the symbolism that we're talking about. It might be great for you to have a pen and paper with you, just to jot down some notes, unless you plan to go back and watch the replay again at the end, and take notes again as we go through the second time around. So hello Janine, beautiful goddess. Hello, and hello Karen, thank you so much for being here. All these beautiful souls jumping on. I'm so blessed, so grateful that you've chosen to come on and spend some time with me this morning. So yes, what I was just saying, if you haven't already, separate your minor cards out into the 4 suits, just because it might be helpful for you. And you might like to jot a few notes down. If any questions arise as you're going through, please chuck them in the comments as well. I have just got a couple of notes just to make sure that I don't forget anything and leave anything out. Now, as you know, if you've been catching these trainings so far as we've been going along, I very much learned tarot from an intuitive way. So I used tarot as a tool to help me develop my mediumship abilities. I was thrown straight in with no prior knowledge to using the cards, and so I learned how to read the symbols and what have you from a very clairvoyant, intuitive perspective. It's only later that I've gone and learnt the theory behind what they mean, and so much overlap between the two, which is, it's great. It's how we work. We tap into the universe, the Acacia, and we download this information when we give ourselves the opportunity to do that. So what I always urge people is to not rely heavily on guidebooks. Do not rely heavily on what any teacher says, including myself, because at the end of the day, every time you do a reading, every time a card is drawn, the stars are aligned differently, the circumstances are different, your internal world is different, so it's going to be different for everybody every single time. Okay, so just take things with a pinch of salt. They're great to use, and people's other, ideas are great to use as a guideline, but always trust what's coming from your gut, what's coming from your inspiration, okay? And, always have that intention when you sit down to work that, you are going to just use the cards as a focal point to be inspired. Yes, you can read them at face value, but you can use them really as a focal point to concentrate your energy, to get yourself out of your own damn way, so you can really tap into that universal consciousness, like collective consciousness, the spirit consciousness, your higher self. And it really helps you move past this, this three-dimensional mirage that's around us, and to really hone in on those spiritual senses with practice. Okay, so I can just see a few people jumping on. So Karen says, it's a pleasure as always. Thank you, darling. Julie says, are we going to look at a specific suit today? Well, my plan is, they're best laid plans and all that, my plan is to touch on all four of them, okay? Because as I said, I've not memorized a textbook that says the two of swords means this, the three of swords means this, the four of swords means that. Absolutely not. So what I'm going to do is just introduce the suits to you, touch on some symbolism that's within them, for you to be able to go away and really tune into those more deeply. Perhaps something in the future, I could hone in on a particular suit and just do a whole live on that. But today I plan to just give you tools that you can go away and explore these yourselves more deeply, because at the end of the day there's 56 cards, 14 in each suit, and so we could really be here a long time. And the thing is, there's a lot of overlaps when you start to understand how to look at the symbolism, of the page or the prince or princess, the knight, the queen, the king, the ace. Once you understand what those symbolisms mean, the court cards as they're called, once you understand what those symbols mean, you can transfer those across, with the other symbolism of that specific suit. Does that make sense? Please let me know. Janine's sorted hers out. Fantastic. Hi Claire, my lovely. How are you? I hope that you're really well today. I saw your photo of your little altar and your cards already. That's beautiful. So yeah, I hope everyone's comfortable. They've got a lovely drink and are ready to get started. Now, I might be shifting and shimmying around a little bit. I've been in the wars, as some of you know. I've broken my toe, which is why I was a little bit late coming on today. So I might be shifting around just to keep comfortable, but I'm with you for this, okay? So hi Jazz, my darling. Thank you so much for being here. Lovely, lovely to have you on. So let me just have a sip of my coffee. I'm cheating, I'm having coffee, not tea, for tea and tarot today. And we can get started. Now, I do want you to let me know if there's any differences in your deck. Perhaps share in the comments photographs. Let us know what deck you're using. Because I'm a bit geeky about that kind of thing, so I always love to know what decks people are using. Now I have got here the Universal Weight tarot deck, just because it's nice to go and look back at the original suits to give you a bit of an idea, the original deck. But then I'm going to be using my favourite deck, which is Legacy of the Divine, Gateway of the Divine. It's the one I use for my readings, my my reading recordings and everything as well. So thank you for sending healing to my broken toe. That's really kind of you. Oh, yes. What a silly Billy. Anyway, so the four suits. So like I said, it's 56 cards, 4 suits of 14, and they are not universally, but traditionally they are wands, swords, pentacles, and cups. Now there's different versions of these depending on the artist's interpretation, the creator of the deck's interpretation of what these things are, but there will always be something that is you know, an alternative to that to represent the same thing or similar things, okay? So Julie said she's using Angel Tarot by Radley Valentine. I have those over there. I love those. Claire says she's using Mystic Fairy Tarot by Universal Weight as well. Fantastic. And Janine has her little deck with no name, which I have as well, which is stunningly beautiful. So fantastic. So what I want to do is start by saying that actually the minor arcana, also known as pip cards, the four suits, actually were the precursor to modern day playing cards. So there is an association and a connection with the four suits of standard playing deck. The major arcana got phased out, apart from the Fool, who became the Joker, and you know, and then we have the four suits that we know: the clubs, spades, hearts, and diamonds. And you can actually, once you have an understanding of the symbolism of numbers, you understand what the suits are. You can actually, and some people still do, use normal playing cards for divination purposes. Which it's very interesting. There's people that I've seen across the internet doing that, and you know, again, it's just a tool, it's just a focal point, and when you have that, you know, that trust and that connection in what you're receiving, you really can use anything for divination, and I find that fascinating. You know, so you may have people in your family generations back that used to read playing cards. So let's see. Deb says, I'm using the Crystal Power Tarot cards. Fantastic. Karen says she's using her old weight deck. Has lost some cards in the wind whilst reading outside. Oh my gosh. That's really interesting. I wonder what cards blew away. Do you know? That could be very relevant. You know, and you know, if there is a deck that you particularly love that gets damaged or you lose some cards, you know, I have just replaced them. Like you can see up here, there's some tarot cards up there, and that's because my first my first Legacy of the Divine deck, Gateway to the Divine, got water damaged. So ones that I could save, I put up there to try and bring that energy into my space. But so I've replaced the deck and have the same deck twice because I just adore it. I don't even think it's in print anymore. So good job I did at that time. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Do forgive me. So let's start to look at the minor cards. Okay, so these tend to cover the mundane details of our lives. So whereas the major arcana, it's about serious goalposts in our life, serious milestones that we come across on our journey, and it's the unfoldment of our spiritual journey. The four suits are more related to the day-to-day, the things that are happening in our personal relationships. They're more things that we can change, that we have a stronger influence over. So it's about bringing those things to our awareness. If there is, for example, if you're doing a general spread and there's a heavy emphasis on one particular suit over the others, then it means that that's the realm of your life that you really have to do some work and do some focusing in on. Okay, so let's just see. I've got some comments coming in. The moon flew away towards me when she was inside that I grabbed. Hello, nice to have you on here. Thank you so much for joining. I've lost the moon sadly, and the Seven of Wands and the Wheel of Fortune. Oh gosh, well, you know, everything for a reason. Everything for a reason. Maybe that's the areas that are really relevant to you, and perhaps create your own. Get a little bit artistic and put your own cards in the deck to really get your energy and your imprint in there. So let's start with Wands. Okay, now wands are associated with the fire element, and they are connected to our journey. Okay, you know, some people say travel. it can be associated with any kind of journey that we're on in our life, whether it's an emotional journey, a healing journey, a spiritual journey, whether it's just physically our path through life and how that's unfolding. This is all to do with the realm of the wands, okay? And it tends to be to do with what the central theme of our lives is at that time when the cards are coming up, depending obviously what questions you're asking, but it's to do with the general theme, the general pathway, the movement forward of our lives, and how we're feeling on that journey at that time. Okay, now they are associated with the clubs in the normal playing decks, and sometimes they're batons. Let me know what they are in your deck. If you're not working with a traditional Rider-Waite theme deck, let me know what the ones are in the deck that you're working with today. Let me know in the comments. So Julie has already jumped on and said that hers are associated with the elements, so that's great. So so the ones really are to do with to do with fire, as we said, okay? And that can be reflected in lots of different ways. So not so much, so this is the more traditional version of the Rider-Waite, okay? And I actually have these in order. I haven't with my other ones, so it'll be interesting. So, again, it's about like the evolution as you move through, very similar to the Major Arcana. I read last night, actually, that in years gone by, a few centuries ago, when printing presses were invented and tarot started to become a lot more widespread, the different suits were actually associated with the different tiers of society, and you can see that here really with the wands. The wands were associated with peasants and country folk, and you can really see that in these cards. They're very natural, they're very kind of, there's always growth and leaves and foliage and what have you, which for me is always indicative of growth. Again, I always say, see what catches your eye when you're reading tarot cards. See what jumps out at you. What's the first thing that you think of? Always go with your first thoughts, okay? And so if you see leaves growing, if you see flowers growing, if you see foliage, it's, okay, there's growth happening here. There's growth happening. I always say, and it's a bit of a running joke in my actual classes, say what you see. It's like catchphrase. I don't know if where you are in the world, if you have that TV program, but there's a program here in the UK called Catchphrase, where you see images, a little character playing out a scene, and you have to guess what the common phrase is that he's acting out. And it's a running kind of joke in my family that I should go on that program, because I'm really good at guessing it, and it's because I'm so used to working with symbols and tarot cards that I just see what people are trying to portray through images. A picture paints 1,000 words. That's why that's why tarot can be so broad, and that's why one card can mean a different thing for so many different people. So fire equals wands. Yes, that's right, Julie. So you can see more so in in my special deck, the association with fire. Here you have the Knight of Wands, and you have flames at the bottom. You have here the King of Wands, and he has in front of him like a fire pit burning. So let me know, is there fire depicted in your wands decks? Here you have the Ace of Wands and the dragons again, and just flying around this ace character. So again, it's depicting a journey. It's depicting a journey through, depending where you are in that space. Knowing numerology is very, very helpful, or having an understanding of the language of numbers when you're working with the tarot, so you don't have to specifically understand what the number is, or what the card textbook meaning is, because again, you're just drawing on all parts of your own knowledge that you have around the different things. So for example here, sorry, my messages keep opening themselves. So here We have the Five of Wands. This is, you know, sometimes about internal conflict and struggle, you know, fighting against your own pathway, resisting against the flow. And you can see this depicted here is this tree of these different men and battling against each other with their wands. Perhaps like a struggle, not knowing what direction to go in, or doubting your own intuition to lead you down the right path, perhaps. Gosh, I can't get my words out today. You have dragons on your fire cards. Wonderful, wonderful. So again, having that understanding as you go through is really, really helpful. Now, aces tend to be at the beginning, and then you have the court cards at the end. So let me just separate these court cards out a moment. Now, generally, if you are working with a deck that's not the traditional basic deck, there's a lot more imagery and symbolism for you to work with, which is why I'm kind of skimming over going through each and every card, because you can use your intuition to help you through what that card meaning is in the position that it comes out in a spread, or you know what kind of context it comes out in, depending on the question that you've asked. Okay. So I just don't want you to think that, you know, if you have any specific questions about anything around that, do let me know. Okay. So I'm just separating out the court cards here. And again, there's different order depending on the different deck that you're using. It can go page, knight, queen, king, or sometimes it goes knight, page, queen, king. It just depends what deck you're using. So Malika, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, my love. She says you have fire on your wands as well. Not too sure what the deck is called. How can I find out? Sometimes there'll be like an artist's image on the bottom, or what I would say that you could do is, if you use Pinterest, if you take a photograph and put it on a Pinterest board, there's like a search option where you can search for similar images, and it might bring it up for you to be able to find it then. They have actual photographs of humans, but with illustrations surrounding them. That's beautiful. Oh, how lovely. Oh, and I'm glad I pronounced it properly. That sounds really, really lovely. So going to the Ace of Wands I have here. So this is all about unlimited potential on your journey, and that anything is possible, okay? That the fire in your belly is brewing. You have what you need to embark on this journey, and you really have no option but to go forward, because the world is your oyster, essentially, okay? So, so now we're going to look at Pentacles. Now, Pentacles are to do with the material aspect of the world. Okay, so they are to do with the physical aspects of life, whether it's to do with material wealth, financial abundance. It's to do with material matters in that it's what's happening in the physical world around us. Okay, now for me, it's about wealth, abundance, prosperity, but whatever that means to you, so whatever that means to the person that you're reading for, whatever that means to you. So for me, it's not like wealth is not about having all the stuff and having, you know, like big numbers in the bank. It's about what you deem to be worthy of classing as wealth. So it's happiness, it's fulfillment, it's joy. What brings you joy in your life? And that might be a little bit controversial, because some people may not see it as that, but from my experience, and I've been working with the tarot for a decade and a half, and doing readings for others for over a decade, and so from my experience, it is about that joy. It is about, what that means to you. It's associated with diamonds in playing cards, if you wanted to use playing cards, and it's the earth element. Okay, which is, you can probably understand that from it being the fact that it's associated with the material world, and the earth is our connection with that, what keeps us grounded into the physical. And so here we have, I've lost it, the Pentacles. So here we have the originals. Again, quite simple. Okay, so these ones are associated more with the clergymen, when we're looking at the different tiers of society, more to do with noble, kind of wise people. So yeah, here are those. So let me know, what are they in your deck? Because in this Legacy of the Divine deck, they're actually called coins. They may be something else in your deck. Earth cards depicted by fairies. One card's a fairy with spears and flames at the tip. So that's amazing. The little deck is the Gilded Tarot by Kiro Marchetti, according to Pinterest. The search worked. Fantastic. Oh, see, full of good ideas. So yes, and you can see here, so here we have the Ace of Coins, which is the Ace of Pentacles, and you can see very much, is that in focus? You can see very much the earthy connections here. And again, you can see, you know, when we talk about the Ace being of unlimited potential, beginnings, you can see it's springtime, there's acorns on the ground, you know, from acorns grow mighty oaks and what have you. So it's very much, you know, reminiscent that anything's possible. You're at the beginning of something very exciting. That's what I see the Ace cards to always represent. Now here you can see it's harvest time for this lady, so whatever she's been working on, whatever she's been focusing her energies on to do with the physical world, to do with her happiness and wealth and abundance, you know, it's time to reap those rewards. If this card came out, and this is actually the Seven of Coins, so you could look at the seven and say, well, seven is associated with divinity, the crown chakra. So it's like trust your spiritual connection, because the work that you've been putting in is about to pay off. Whether you're harvesting the wheat from the field, whether you're collecting these gold coins from the tree, you know, it's rewards time for you. So that's what you'd say, you know, about that. Here, this is a beautiful card. This is the 10 of Coins or Pentacles. So it's reward time. You know, it being the 10, it's the beginning of a new cycle, and this time, you know, there's going to be abundance abound in your life. You know, you can look at the tulips as symbols. You could look at the key as a symbol that you have access already to what it is that you are hoping for. Even if your eye is drawn to the different colored gems, you could say, you know, what it is that you need to find true fulfillment and happiness and stability in your material life, is to focus on, perhaps if you're drawn to the green, the heart chakra. So again, it's what your eyes are drawn to and what kind of works for you in that regard. Now, excuse me if I'm going a bit fast for you. Do let me know if you have any questions around this suit of the Pentacles. Perhaps have a look through your cards now and see if there's any questions that jump up to you, or like, how would you interpret this? Just let me know. For example, this chap here, he's got, I don't know if you can see, he's got all these blueprints on the table for coins that he's obviously trying to create. He's got some that he's already made here, some floating above his head here. Now this is the 8 of Coins, so he has 5 already. He has 3 that he's working on, and you can see that he's putting some deep thought into that. Again, green is a very strong theme here with the colours, so perhaps what he needs to do to help, because he looks a bit stuck, doesn't he? He looks a bit like he's blocked. So what you could say here is that stop thinking about it too much, and open your heart to inspiration to help you with what you need to do for the next step. So stop over analysing, over planning, just go with the flow of your heart center. You know, something along those lines might be really helpful. So let me just see. This one I love, and this is very similar to common you know, to common interpretations of it. This is a really, really beautiful one. Now this is the 9 of Coins. So and here, look, I always say that this lady has so much beauty all around her, just flowers blooming, this gold archway of coins, you know, it's a beautiful view off into the distance, flowers around her feet as well as up in the air, and she's focusing all her attention in on this one bird that she's holding in her hand. And sometimes what this card means when it comes up in a reading is that, you know, you're focusing all your energy in on one place and you're missing the rest of the beauty that lies all around you. So perhaps this is a reminder to practice gratitude and honor, you know, what you already have, appreciate what you already have. You know, again, it all depends whether it comes up the right way or reversed. That's something that we're going to go into in next week's training, is reverse cards. So let me just put these out in order here. So again, we'll touch on the court cards after we've gone through the suits, okay? Because I really want to kind of show you the similarities and talk more in detail about those characters. So we'll come to those after we've addressed all the suits. So any questions around coins so far, or pentacles, should I say, so far? I know I'm flying through, so I do apologise. I need to slow myself down a bit. Is this helpful? Are you finding it helpful? And just checking my notes here to make sure that I haven't left anything out. Because they are associated with the physical realms, they're associated with the 5 senses as well. So that kind of makes sense about what I was saying about the guy who was focusing in and you know, focusing in on his intellect and not allowing his senses to come in to inspire him. So this is associated with the physical senses in the world as well, and perhaps telling you that you're not seeing, you're not looking, you're not really appreciating what's around you. And that is reflected so beautifully actually in the 5 of coins. And you can see here that this is the 5 of coins interpretation from my deck, and you can see here this lady, she feels very hard done by. She feels very you know, there's like this poverty aspect to her, right? That she's reaching out and asking for assistance, missing the beauty of the big golden coin that is behind her, with all these beautiful golden flowers coming in, this beautiful golden ray of spiritual light shining down on her. And so you can see from this card that she is ignoring all her senses and focusing in on that sadness, the lack, the sense of lack, rather than actually seeing the abundance and the beauty that is around her, a growth that is taking place with the emergence of these beautiful gold flowers and these gold coins that are literally within her grasp. So it can be, you know, tune into your senses. What are you missing? What aren't you giving enough attention to? Karen says, no, it's better like that, more fun with oomph. Amazing. Thank you, Karen. Claire says, it's fascinating how numerology, astrology, the elements, colours are all facets in the tarot oracle cards. Absolutely. Absolutely. And because there is no separation, there is overlaps everywhere, and tarot is a really great way of bringing so much information into your awareness. And the more the connections there is with the elements and the numerology and the astrology, the more that they can bring into that artwork, the more information you are able to pull from that, depending on your level of knowledge and understanding. So you can come in just with a bit, I know a bit about the chakras, I know the colours and what they mean, so you can work at it from that level. Or, you know, if you do know the symbols of the numbers, if you do know the astrological symbols and perhaps, you know, the characteristics, the personality traits of those characters, or perhaps even the time of year, the time period where they fall in the wheel of the year, then you can give guidance around that if that stands out to you in those areas. And definitely the associations with the elements, you know, if you have an awareness of that already, it can really help bring so much richness to the communication that you deliver to the person that you're reading for. And even if that's for yourself, even if you're doing a reading for yourself with pen and paper there, you know, if you like, oh, I'm really drawn to that, the symbol of the planet Pluto, you know, quite relevant at the moment because Pluto's just gone retrograde and it's causing all kinds of stirring up for people, and it is going to for a few months to come. You know, if you're drawn to the symbol of Pluto in the card and you're aware of what it means, you can go, this upheaval you're feeling, it could just be down to the Pluto and where Pluto is in your chart, where it is in the sky at the moment. You know, it gives you so much wealth and richness to tap into. And so, yeah, I love it. But there is no, you know, everything is connected. And so, you know, the people that are creating these cards, they're aware of that, and often they are divinely inspired. You know, the artists just allow themselves to be a channel for what source, what the universe and what the angels or the divinities want to bring in as a tool to help us. And so there is that aspect to it as well. And you know, it just comes in layers and layers and layers. So the more you work with the cards, the more things you'll spot, you'll see differently. And one deck that I have, the Cosmic Tarot, that I work a lot with, especially when I'm teaching, it also has, you know, on top of all of those symbols of the zodiac and all of that kind of stuff, it also has really distinctive facial expressions, as in these cards as well, to be fair. And you can read people's body language in the cards. You can read that as a symbol, their facial expression. How are they feeling at the moment? You can really work on that level as well. So just something to think about. Malika says, found out their Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. Thank you. Amazing. See, we have a couple of people with decks by him today. Fancy that. Janine just said that the deck you've got is the deck that me and Janine have just got. How fascinating. What a coincidence. I love that. And they are really stunning. The colours in those are so vibrant. Really, really nice. Gosh, I would love to. I haven't brought them in because I haven't been using them up until this point with the trainings, but I might bring them in next week to use because they really, really are. The colours pop. And the thing is with that, if there's things that really pop in cards, it really helps to catch your eye in order for you to open up this communication channel, to allow your inspiration, your creativity to flow. And that's one thing I love about those, is that they really do just have this feast for the senses. So that is the Pentacles, that is the coins. So do let me know, like I said, if they are something different in your deck. So we're going to travel now to the swords. Now, I love the swords deck. Sometimes the imagery with the swords is a little bit darker than the other decks, and this is because the swords, they are reflective and representative of our inner world, okay? And by that I mean our thoughts, our ideas, what we allow to take up space in our mental realm, what we give floor space to in the rental space in our mind, okay? So it's what we think about, it's what we focus on. They're associated with ideas and inspiration, as well as the negative things we dwell on, the catastrophes that we focus our intention on, okay, and our awareness on. They are emphasizing the logical, and they are, as I said, good ideas as well as our worries and woes. So whatever they kind of come through as in the deck, if there's lots of swords perhaps coming up in a spread for someone or in a reading for someone, that there really needs to be work done on their mental space, their mind, okay? And you know, we all have to address that at some point on our journey. We all have to start to clean out the corners of our mind and start becoming really aware of what we give energy to, and learn to control what we focus on. And you know, without control of that, without having an influence on that, it's our thoughts that run the show. And we are not our thoughts, my friends. We are the one that is aware that we have thoughts. So just by working on that awareness, by becoming aware of, well, what are we giving too much energy to, or, you know, where am I on my journey of mastering my thoughts? That's what the swords can tell us. Okay, they are associated with the air element. They are spades in the normal playing cards. They evolved into spades in playing cards. Yeah, I think that they have quite dark symbolism sometimes, or difficult symbolism sometimes, because it is our thoughts that often are our worst enemy. Our self-talk is our worst enemy. You know, how we judge others, it is very restrictive for us, and it causes us to really stifle our own progression forward. So again, it's a really important thing to master in our lives. So Julie says, air, swords are air, and her pictures are of unicorns. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I do love them. They are my first and only deck, as I've been obsessed with the colours and energy. Oh, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so yeah, so you might have pictures of air within these cards. For example, here we have the Knight of Swords, and here you can see there's tornadoes and whirlwinds in the background depicting the air movement. Let's have a look what else. You can see here the Nine of Swords. It's like mist coming in to influence her thoughts. And you can see, you know, she's lying awake, concerned about something. So again, you can see that you can see from the imagery that it's things playing on the mind. I love when this card comes up. You can see that it's someone kind of with all these swords behind him, kind of writhing as if he's been stabbed, but actually the swords are too far away from him to even touch him. So when this comes up, I always say to people, look, you're worrying and reacting as if something's already happened and it hasn't happened yet. And so you need to check yourself. You need to make sure that you're not allowing events that haven't happened yet to really influence how you're feeling in this present moment. And he, you know, he's wrapped in this kind of purple kind of scarf to show that, you know, spirit are holding you, spirit have got you safe. So get out of here and start feeling and trusting. Okay. So that's what, you know, I often say about that. Here we have again, so we have the Ace of Swords here, so you can see eagles flying in the sky, rising up above the storm clouds, actually into the sunshine. So it's like there's a new beginning here, a new journey beginning when it comes to how you're thinking, taking control of that space within yourself. So in that card, you guys got the swords through him, as has he, Karen. So and actually that could be the case too, actually, with this normal deck. Yeah, okay, so here we have it. So they are in him here, actually. So what you would say here in terms of what, you know, what you're allowing your thoughts to do to you is actually that, you know, you're allowing yourself to be skewered, to be tortured, and even, you know, killed in a way by what you're thinking about. And the fact that it's a 10 and 10 is the beginning of a new cycle, is that it's time to put an end to that. That if you want to move forward, you can see the red of the cloak here. It's like, you know, the strength you need, the energy you need is accessible to you. You just have to get your thoughts in check and start controlling what you think about. So 10 of Swords is not easy to be positive in the universal weight cards. Well, the thing is, it can be, because it's about bringing things to your awareness, and perhaps you've been going through a very miserable time in your life. You've been suffering. You have felt like you've been skewered from every angle with a sword, and it's telling you that, look, you can change this. You can absolutely change this. by getting a hold of those thoughts, getting a handle on what you think about. So it can be delivered in a positive way, rather than saying, well, you know, the position you got yourself in, it's all your own damn fault because you're focusing on all negative thoughts. And it's like, no, you don't put it like that. Say, you know, you may feel this way now, but you have the power to change that. And, you know, draw another card. If this card comes up and you're worried about not being able to deliver it in a positive way, if you are reading someone, for someone else, then draw another card to try and bring some more insight around this. So it's like, perhaps, well, what are you thinking about that's the wrong thing that's skewering you in this way? You know, bring another card in to help emphasize. Yes, and you can see here, Karen says the sunrise behind the card. It's like, yeah, there is a sun rising here. So it is, you know, it's the beginning of a new dawn. It's a new beginning. So you can change all this and start a new day if you pull these swords out of yourself, to be reborn, okay? But 10, in numerology, you have 1 to 9. 10 begins a new cycle with all the wisdom that you've accumulated on the journey thus far. So you're starting again a new cycle with all the experience, the wisdom, the lessons and challenges you've had to face, making you stronger to start that new cycle again from a level up. If you choose to reframe things and extract the wisdom from those experiences. So it is, although it looks negative, actually when you look past the surface level, there's a lot of optimism to be gained from this card. If people are willing to do the personal development work, if people are willing to dive in and do the self-mastery stuff, there is positives out there. You know, and again, that's a whole other subject that we could go into. But you've got to be willing to want to make change in order to get yourself out of these situations, right? Okay, so let me just see what other... So swords, you know, if you look at them symbolically, they're actually, you know, they're weapons, right? And you can use them for attack or defense. And so what, you know, this card comes up for some people, this very handsome chap here, with the battle devastation all in front of him. He's got these swords dangling from his belt, and he's holding his sword up in the air here. Now he's holding up the sword not as if he's about to start fighting, but he's willing and able to defend himself if anyone else comes for him. Okay, so what I, you know, associating the swords with wisdom, with knowledge, with our thoughts and understandings, it's like the experience that you've been through, what you've survived, the ordeals that you've traveled through, the traumas that you've gone through, whatever relationships or whatever experience you've got up until this point. It is preparing you and defending you, protecting you from those things happening again. So yes, there may be devastation. There may have been, you know, broken relationships, you know, things falling apart in your life, things not going smoothly or as you wanted them to. But you have the defense you need, the wisdom you need to prevent those things happening again. And again, just, you know, you can see the light, you know, rising in the background. So it is a new beginning. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope there for you coming through. And again, you know, there's we could go into so many different aspects. But yeah, so that's just, you know, just kind of look at the images like that and see what they can conjure up within you. Let me just see if there's anything else. I can't wait to go through these court cards with you guys because they're just beautiful. So yeah, now here we have the Three of Swords. So this is like the beginning of the journey of getting control over your thoughts. And so there's things, perhaps if this card comes up, you can see she's very upset. So there's things that you're focusing on that are keeping you in this heartache, that is keeping you in this sadness. So this is what this card would kind of reflect, is that it's time to start thinking about something else, change what you think about, and your whole reality changes. Is that not true? Is that not true? And there's so many quotes around that are just so perfect. But yeah, if you change what you think about, your whole life, your whole reality will transform. So Janine says, the good tarot is air and it's stunning. Hard to be negative about it. And that's what the Good Tarot was created for. Now, the Good Tarot is a deck created by Colette Baron Reid, and she is wonderful. I love her. Her decks are stunning. She does, she runs an online oracle school. You know, she's a Hay House published author. She's a wonderful, wonderful lady. If you ever get a chance to watch any of her videos, I highly recommend that you do. If you ever get a chance to get any of her decks, do, because they are great. Beautiful. And the reason that she created the Good Tarot is because she wanted to create a deck that didn't have this negative imagery that conjured up the negative aspects of life. So it's although you can deliver things in a positive way, sometimes you do, that's the thing about tarot. It forces you to face yourself and perhaps look at negative aspects of yourself that you didn't want to look at, address negative aspects of your personality that you didn't want to accept, that you needed to work on. Whereas the Good Tarot, it's got all of those kind of not negative, I don't want to use that word here, but the less productive aspects, I guess, the things that people really don't want to kind of look at and dwell on. The Good Tarot gives you these messages in terms of, well, these are the things you've learned from that experience, rather than going think about the experience, think about that, what did you learn from it. The Good Tarot goes, well, this is what you learned from it, these are the strengths that you took away from it, if that makes sense. I watched a really great interview with her talking about why she created the Good Tarot. It's really, really good. It's on what is it on? I think it might be on Gaia. If I come across it, I will share it with those of you who I know are Good Tarot fans. I know there's a couple of you in here that work with that deck. I have it, it's beautiful. But for teaching purposes, I wanted to show you something more traditional. So that is the Swords suit. Again, it can be easier to interpret depending on, the detail of the artwork that you have in your cards. But it's okay. Julie says, I am struggling with the air. I will have to go away and look at this later in detail. Oh, you've seen it too, Janine, have you? Okay, great. Oh, my foot. So struggling with air. Okay, well, just think of it like this, okay? That it's associated with things that you can't grasp physically. If you think of air as an element, it's things you can't grasp physically. In Ayurveda and the elements, Ayurveda and air, should I say, is associated with our thoughts and how much we think. So if you just think about it in that way, Julie, as it's to just do with the realm of thought and look at. So I know the air you said is to do with unicorns. In my mind, I can actually see some of the cards now, and so just look at the characters. How are they playing out in the cards? Is there a struggle going on? Does it look happy? Is there growth? Is there strife? And just read it from an intuitive perspective. Don't worry intellectually about, well, air means thoughts and this and that. How does the card feel? I know that you are very intuitive, so just use your intuition with that. Don't worry about the logical meaning of the card, the textbook meaning of the card, what the little book says. Forget about it. Forget about it. Just go with what you're drawn to in the card and intuitively read it that way, okay? Don't beat yourself up about not understanding or not getting it, because there's nothing to get. It's what you feel is in the card, what your eyes land on, what it looks like, what is playing out in that. Hiya, Dalith. So lovely to have you here, my darling. Thank you so much for joining. So we've worked through a couple of the suits already. We are just about to start. Where are we? We're about to start cups. Okay, so and then after I've just gone through this, what we'll do is we'll have a look at the court cards, because I know some people, just from my experience of teaching tarot, some people do struggle reading the court cards, so we will come back to that. Hi Karen, lovely. Oh, pesky batteries, right? So here we're looking at cups. Now cups are to do with our emotions, our relationships in any form, Okay, so it could be, you know, personal relationships, family relationships. It could be, you know, related to, you know, colleague relationships. And so they are associated with water. So whenever I see water in a card, I always associate that with the emotions. Look at how the water's looking. Is it really agitated? Is there like big waves or ripples, or is it very calm and kind of glass-like? And that could be reflective of how the emotions of that person are at this particular time. And that goes for clairvoyantly as well. Often if you see water clairvoyantly, or if you're on a guided journey, whether it's like a shamanic journey or a guided journey, like to meet spirit guides or what have you, you know, if you see rivers and waterways, or if you see the sea, or even in a dream state, if you're dreaming of the ocean or what have you, you know, how is that? What is the mood of that water, if you like? And that is reflective of your internal emotions. What's going on with you? Water, the element, is associated with emotions. Okay. So, yes, this helps. 99% of the time I do intuitive and look at the picture. Maybe I need to look at swords for myself and see what messages they are giving me. Absolutely. And that's a really, really great piece of advice as well. If you're learning, you know, work with the cards daily if you like, to see how they associate with you, how you connect with that card. And that will really, really help you then when you've got kind of, well, this card came up for me when I was feeling this way. When you're doing that then for other people, you have that to back you up. So cups are water and mermaids. Beautiful. In the Good Tarot, it's mermaids, it's seahorses, there's like pearls and seashells and fish. It's beautiful in the Good Tarot. So here we have, this is the Three of Cups. So you can see, you know, like a stormy ocean there behind in the waves. You have the Knight of Cups here, so he's in the water, with the waves crashing onto his helmet there. So let's have a look. Yeah, here we have the King of Cups, and he's got, you know, seahorses all around him. He's got this water there in front of him. Let's have a look. So there's some of these that I want to look at here. So here, yeah, the Queen, she's under the ocean with these pearls around her head, pearls of wisdom, this water flowing around her. So let's have a little look at what these mean then. So look at the card. That's what I want to say first of all. Look at the cards. What jumps out at you? What does it look like for you? Now Karen says, I've got three ladies cheering with cups having a party. Yes, so that's wrong deck. So that's very similar to this one. Okay. And so, you know, this is a celebration. This is honouring your emotions. You're in a happy place with your relationships, with how you're feeling about yourself. You know, so where did I hold the three up? So here, so yeah, this is a celebration. This is about, you know, dancing to your own rhythm, creating your own music, you know, listening to, you know, the harmonies that are around you, and really enjoying the moment, enjoying where you are. You know, this one, for example, in this deck, you know, this lady doesn't look very happy, and there's broken cups around her here. And because perhaps there's been, so this, you know, just popping to my mind now as I'm looking at this is, it's like, okay, there has been broken relationships, there has been difficult relationships, but don't cling too tightly onto the ones that you have for fear of them going the same way. It's like there is light around you, so don't focus on the negative. Again, it's being grateful for what you have. Yes, these are broken, but they might not have been very strong, they might not have been very good, they may have been flawed and faulty and not right for you. So here you have these cups. So remember what it is you have, and be grateful for what you have, and look at things from a brighter perspective. Okay. So that's just one way of looking at it here. You know, here, this card comes up, which is the Eight of Cups. And this, you know, to me, it's you know, 8 is always about balance, okay? So if you think about the 8 as being like a continuous, almost like the eternity symbol, it's got to be in balance, both sides of the flow. And so it's about bringing things into balance. So this guy, you know, he's reaching up to the cosmos, reaching up to the stars, but neglecting what's going on behind him here, not seeing the full picture. Yes, okay, he's a man above the water, but he's an octopus underneath the water. So this could be to do with distorted perceptions and not seeing things as they really are, perhaps. So, you know, is there water in your cards? What do these cards jump out and mean to you? Is there anything that you struggle with reading cups? You know, the full moon here in the background is, you know, the moon is associated with our emotions. It's associated with our intuition, our perception. It's associated with the divine feminine and that aspect of us. So this could be about needing to get those things in balance in order for you to have this balanced emotional state, or perhaps there's things underneath the surface that you're not addressing. So this moment of calm in the middle is actually an illusion, because there's things that you're suppressing and not dealing with that are stopping you to be able to reach the stars, that are stopping you from connecting with that cosmic connection, if that makes sense. So Karen says, I have a cloaked man, cups on the floor on the 5. Yes, so again, and even in that card, and I know the one you mean, it's quite dark. It's quite a dark figure. It's like he's in mourning. So you have the 2 cups behind him are stood up, but you have these 3 cups laying down on the floor, and he's got this black cloak around himself, which, you know, black, it's not a colour that you see often in the tarot. So it's very, very significant, and it could be that he's in mourning. He's so sad that these cups have been knocked over, but he's forgetting that actually he has these cups behind him still. And also, you know, if you look in this card in the background, it's like, you know, there's a bridge to get you to where you want to go. And so, you know, you are able to move forward. You're not as blocked as you first think. So you're being a bit of a victim here to your emotions. You know, as I said about, you know, when we were talking about the swords, and it, you know, it's allowing your thoughts to run the show. You can just as easily allow your emotions to run the show and take control. And our emotions are just our emotions are a way of telling us something isn't right. They're telling us that there's something that we need to heal. That they are, you know, they are a communication system, right, with our soul. But that doesn't mean that they should have the ability to run our lives and take the steering wheel. And so again, you know, like we're not our thoughts, we're aware of thoughts. We are not our emotions. We are the one who's aware that there is emotions. Okay, so this is about, you know, taking control back, taking power back from your emotions, to really start, you know, on that journey. Again, it's like it's a signifier of the self-mastery. It's like stop letting your emotions dictate your life and actually take the reins back. So that's what I would say about that. And actually, if you look in the black cloak, there's like greeny blue kind of highlights to that, and they're associated with, you know, blue and green are the heart chakra, the throat chakra. So this is right, you need to find a way of communicating and expressing what is blackening your heart, what is making you so sad. You need to communicate that, express that, and heal that. And that's what, you know, would be coming from this card if it came out for me. Okay, so does that make sense? Does that make sense? And again, we're going to talk about reverse cards and things next week, because that does have a significant influence on what the initial meaning of the card is. Let me just see if there's anything else jumping out here that I wanted to share. So here, I just wanted to show you quickly the Ace of Cups from the Universal Weight. And you can see here, you know, when we talked about the ace being unlimited potential, anything is possible, you know, here the cup is running over, it runneth over. So this is about happiness and joy and abundance overflowing in someone's life. You know, the white dove coming down, it's like messages from heaven. You know, you've got the the lilies and the leaves and things growing in the water, and it's like, yes, you know, if you want to shed tears because there's like raindrops falling, if you want to shed tears, that's amazing, because it's going to help you find the clarity, the growth, and everything that you need. So know that, you know, if you're in a difficult situation at the moment or what have you, if the ace comes up, it's like, right, there is so much opportunity here for rebuilding broken relationships, whether that be with yourself, with a loved one, or if you're looking for love, if you're looking for a relationship and this card comes up, it's to say that, you know, the love that you're looking for, whatever you're hoping for, it's going to come to you. So that's how I would look at that card and interpret that card. Well, that's an interesting question. So Karen says, is the water coming out or going in to the cup? Now, one time the card may come up and it may look like it's going in, and another time the card come up and it looks like it's going out. It's completely up to your intuition. It's completely however it seems and senses to you. For example, you know, this card here, it's the Ace of Cups and it's underwater, so it's completely submerged, so it's water all around. So this, it could be, you know, it could be going in and then sprinkling out, you know, whatever that appears like to you at that time, because, you know, regardless of whether it's physically possible or not, you know, there's cards that I have that come out in readings and it looks different. The facial expression looks different. Sometimes they look, you know, they look like concerned, and other times they look more angry, or, you know, it's slight subtle differences, but it can look different times you look at it. It's just the incredible way the universe, the laws of probability, and all of that kind of stuff, they work and unfold around us. What does the W mean on the cup? Now you're asking. I don't know that. Something that I can look up for you, definitely, and I'm happy to do that, like I did with the bee in the day on the other card. Mine has the phases of the moon above, and I on the cup. That's beautiful. Because the phases of the moon do have a massive influence on our emotions, and so for you that could be saying, you know, allow the ebb and flow of your emotions to come and go. Remember that they're ruled by something other than yourself, that, you know, we don't have control over the influence that the moon has on our emotions, in a way, the eye on the cup is, you know, it's awareness of your emotions. You know, in order to stop our emotions running our lives, we need to have awareness of them. So that's what that is reflecting. Yes, yeah, no problem, I will. And it does look like an upside down M, Karen, you're right, it does look like an upside down M. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I'll have a look. Okay. So yeah, so there we have that. Okay, so that is cups, my friends. So yeah, we can have a little. I can have a little look into that, no problem. In my esoteric library, I'll have a look. No problem at all. Just gonna have a little drink. Okay, so Janine says, when reading tea leaves, the W is the sign for water or clouds. I did think it could mean water potentially. So that's a very helpful contribution. Thank you, Janine. And so, you know, clouds would be like a transforming, a changing, a new life cycle beginning for that water, right? So so that's something you could look at symbolically if it triggers that within you. So Malika says, this is my first time watching. How often do you do this? I love it. A little tarot community. So at the moment I do this every week. This is actually number 4, so you can go back and watch the replays of the first 3. I got a couple left that I plan on doing before I'm going to do like a little bit of a like a Zoom program for people that really want to carry on continuing their practice, so we can actually so it's not just watching me, we can actually talk to one another, communicate with one another, and practice with one another. So that's going to be coming up in a few weeks after a few more sessions. But yeah, I do these every week, so it's lovely to have you here. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. So Janine says, with runes, it's trust, the W. Okay, so again, it's whatever it invokes within you is what's important. You know, the original meaning, whatever its intended meaning was, it doesn't matter. Yes, it's great to have that knowledge to fill that encyclopedia of your own symbolic knowledge up, your repertoire of symbols. But again, what's important, particularly if you are working intuitively, is just what it brings up for you. So yes. Oh, thank you, Julie. Julie says these are amazing sessions. And Julie, you have come to a lot of my my classes in the physical world, and we actually did some one-to-one training together. So Julie, yeah, Julie can, you know, has learned a lot from working with these sessions with me. So I'm so glad that you're still along for the ride and still enjoying them. I really, really deeply appreciate that. So yes, I think we've covered all of the suits now. Oh, I forgot to mention that cups were associated with hearts from the normal playing deck. So hearts evolved from cups when you look at normal playing cards. So yeah, now what I am going to do is actually create a document within this group that's going to connect them all together. I have actually been uploading them onto the internet, so taking them off Facebook and uploading them. I'm gonna, I think, have them on my website and maybe even on my YouTube channel for people that want to develop them. I think I am gonna put some worksheets and stuff together. You know, I have got some worksheets and things that I have created over time to help in my workshops and classes, because I actually started teaching tarot when I was like 19 or 20. To a group in a spiritualist church a long time ago now, and so, you know, over the years I've got different things together that can help people. I've done so many different workshops, divination teachings and stuff, so I'm putting some sheets together, perhaps some downloadables that people can fulfill in as they go along and what have you. So any tips or ideas, please send them my way, things that would have been useful for you. So Julie says, yes, I want to book more one-to-one sessions. Well, I would love to do some one-to-one sessions. You know, I'm open to doing that if anyone wants to have any tuition around any form of divination or spiritual practice. It would be a pleasure to assist you with that aspect of your journey. Janine says, I'd love some one-to-one. Fantastic. Let's talk about it. And yeah, definitely going back and watching the previous episodes would be really, really handy for you. So we've gone through the different suits. Now let's address the court cards, shall we? Because people over the years of my training, teaching others, court cards are something that people have a little bit of a difficulty with. Now, what I mean by the court cards is what you would say is the page, the knight, the queen, and the king. Okay, and in some cases the ace, but I don't think so much. It's just it's the character cards for each suit. Okay, now there is different thought around this. Some people say that it's to do with people within the situation. It's to do with people in your life. If it's not you, it's someone close to you. It's, you know, spirit work with you at your level of understanding of where you are, of what you feel things are. But for me, and again, it depends whether you're using different spreads or not. Again, it's something that we'll talk about next week, whether you're doing Celtic cross, whether you're doing past, present, future, or what have you, whether it's upright or reversed. It could be to do with people in your life, characters that are having an influence on that situation and the current circumstances. But personally, similar to the way that the major arcana is the fool's journey and the evolution of the spirit and the consciousness, I see the characters as where you are on your journey of self-mastery regarding this specific subject. So in front of me here I have the cups cards in front of me of the different suits. And so for me, it depends where you are on your journey. So for example, here we have the Page of Cups. So for me, the Page of Cups is someone who is beginning to understand that they have an influence on their emotions. It's someone who's beginning to realize that actually they can indulge in them or keep them away from themselves. They are beginning to realize that they're not their emotions, and that they have the driver's seat in their life. Okay, so here he is someone who is being inspired. There's a gold hat on his head. So gold is connected with spirit. The fact that it's a hat is a symbol that is often, a hat it covers the crown chakra and the third eye often, sometimes there's headscarves you see. So for me, the color around this area, whatever's going on around this area of a person in a card, is connected with how they are receiving communication from the divine. Okay, and that's like a rule of thumb across the board. Okay, so if you see flowers around someone's head, they're being inspired with ideas. If you see butterflies, it's like the spirit around them, putting imagery in their mind, helping with their transformation. So here he is starting to get divinely inspired. He's starting to take divine action because his sleeves are gold, and he's holding this cup, in a way that, right, okay, I have control over this. I'm beginning to understand that I have control over this. The blue is associated with self-expression. The green and the blue and the light around him, it's like these notions, this connection with his heart and his expression, he's beginning to realize the influence that has on his emotional pathway. Okay, so similarly, I'm just going to go through the pages first of all. I'm having to move, sorry, I'm getting a bit uncomfortable. Broken toe is not fun to sit on a bed for too long. So here we have the Page of Swords. So again, you can see he's there, he's holding these swords, and he's realizing now, he's honoring them, he's paying attention to them, that actually, okay, he has the ability to have an influence on these things. Now here again, a blue hat, feathers in it as well. So if the feathers are relevant to you, important to you, it's like that angelic connection. Now the gender of the people in the card, it could be significant as well, depending if you work with the masculine and feminine aspects and associations. So blue is very much associated with self-expression, authenticity, and so this is about expressing, and the purple behind is spiritual support. So there's spiritual support around you, helping you to express your thoughts, to help you understand them, and to really start paying attention to them. Starting to pay attention to our thoughts is the first a really big significant jump that we can take in our self-mastery journey. Is just observing, and that's what this character is starting to do here. Okay, now here the page is a young lady with coins, okay, with pentacles. And you can see she has this flower headdress around her head. So she is getting inspired with ideas. She sees that she has control because she has this coin in her hands, and she can there's light behind her, so there's optimism. She's excited for what's to come. Yes, there's all the gold in the card as well. She has the white around her throat. So white is a colour that's associated with spirit, as well as purity, clarity. So she's starting to express herself clearly. And again, that's a huge stepping stone in mastering our reality, our physical worlds. Okay, it's articulating exactly what we mean, saying what we mean, and meaning what we say, and with pure intention, with the right intention. So that's what this card is associated with here. Okay, and so finally we have the Page of, cover the little rip. Here we have the Page of Wands. So here there's strength. Okay, red is a really powerful, passionate color, energy coming in to really help you move forward. If you remember, wands are to do with our journey, our progress, our movement forward in life, whatever aspect of a life that is associated with. Okay, so he has a lot of strength coming in. Again, the white collar around his throat saying like he's meaning what he's saying. He's aligning with his mission, his purpose, his pathway. and Spirit bringing that strength in for him. He's having ideas of confidence, this red hat. And the triangle, which you've noticed is in all of these cards, for me is a symbol. It's associated with mind, body, spirit, but for me it's also connected to, it's that remembering and honoring that connection with spirit, that we are not just physical beings, we're spiritual beings too. And you know, wearing this little triangle on his hat, it's like he's honoring, he's recognizing that he isn't just a physical being, that he is connected with spirit. And there's that you know, there's that coming in for him to help him on this aspect of his journey. So does that all make sense? So Karen says, now I can see this in the card. That's great. Karen says, mine's a gentleman with a scarf around his head. So, you know, what colour is the scarf? What position is this man standing in? You know, what's the scenery going on around it? And tap into all of this symbolism to help you portray that when you are doing, you know, when you are doing the reading. You know, does it associate? Is this where I am? Am I beginning to realise that I'm on a journey of self-mastery, that you know, that I am unfolding into this new pace of control and power in my life? And that's what the page for me is about. It's beginning to realize that you have the influence over your reality, essentially, with regards to whatever suit that is. Okay, so and again, you know, just look at the background, look at the foreground, look at the colours, look at the facial expression, and all of that kind of stuff. So does anyone have any questions around the page? So Malika says, mine is a woman, I think, and has stars on her headwear and clothes. So again, stars, it's that connection with the cosmos. It's that connection with the heavens above. So by wearing that on her clothes, she's honouring that, she's connecting with that, she's celebrating that, and demonstrating that, showing that to the world, like wearing that as like, look, yeah, I'm into the stars, I'm into the heavens, this is me. So it's about self-expression. It's about authenticity and how you project that out to the world and honour that. And you know, having stars around her head, it's like, yeah, the stars are having an influence on what's going on in here. She's aware of that connection, and she's influenced by that connection. Okay, so next we will go to why not go to the we'll go to the knights next. Okay, so the knight. So what imagery, you don't have to answer this in the comments, just think to yourself. If you want to put it in the comments, that's great, but what comes to your mind when you think of a knight? Okay, do you think of a knight in shining armor, someone coming to the rescue, someone who's very noble and brave, someone who is respected, someone who fights for causes of others, you know, doing the right thing? Someone who is very well protected, they wear suits of armor, they're strong, they're powerful, they've put training in to get to their level of expertise, and you know, often they have a horse. So horses move people forward with rapid pace, they have strength, so all of these things are associated with the character of the knight. Okay, and so yeah, Adela says someone charging ahead. Absolutely. So if we move from the page, who is someone who is starting to realize that they have an influence on their journey, to now actually charging on ahead, it's like, okay, I've got this realization, I'm aware that I have this control, this influence, this ability to stand up for myself, this ability to do good in the world, to help others, and really charging forward with that aspect of their life. Hello, Paul. So lovely to have you on here. So, Paul, you associate the knight with family, and absolutely, I totally get that as well. It's really taking care of others and bringing that group together. Okay. So here, I mean, and you know, mine are quite an abstract version compared to others, but we'll just have a little look at these here first. So here we have the Knight of Swords. Okay, so going back to what we've said already, swords are to do with our mental realm, our thoughts and understanding. And so this is, even though there's tornadoes here blowing around in the background, the knight is able to stand his ground, to stand strong and to stand tall, with regardless of all of this going on around him. And the eagles flying around in the foreground and flying around. It's like scoping out, checking out what's going on, what's the long game here, what are the implications for the future, you know, looking forward rather than like looking around in panic and despair or worrying about what's going on. It's like, okay, yeah, this is happening now. All of this storm is going on around me perhaps, but I'm protected. I have this wisdom that I need to keep me grounded, to keep me pushing forward, to be the eye in the storm, the calm in the center. And again, you know, all the things we talked about before about having armor on, being protected, being resilient. You know, when we talked about the swords and how a sword is defensive as well as a tool to attack others. So you have all the wisdom and all of the experience and everything you've gained so far on a journey that's going to protect you and keep you safe in the situation that you're in and going forward. So you don't have to worry about being bombarded or influenced or negatively affected. Paul says riding the winds of change, and that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Heroically riding the winds of change and not falling apart like some of the other sword characters might have been that we looked at earlier. And so Julie says, in my deck, fire is represented by dragons, but the Knight of Fire is sitting on a horse and not dragons. Okay, so I have the Knight of Fire. So fire is wands. So here we have fire, the Knight of Fire. There's dragons in this card as well. So the issue here is the Knight of Fire is sitting on a horse and not a dragon. Now, the way I would look at that is that dragons are protectors, okay? So dragons are wisdom keepers, they are protectors of the world and of the energetic realms. They bring wisdom to us, they help us in so many different ways. So they're helpers as opposed to something that is going to actually physically move us forward. They can only bring us the insight and wisdom, they can't actually do the work for us. And that can be what the difference between the riding the horse and riding the dragon would be in those cards. Okay, so this is about, yes, okay, that, you know, we're talking about wands being about our journey. There may be some conflict going on as these dragons seem to be battling each other a little bit here, but again, you're protected, you're safe. You know, you've got wisdom enough to stand back from these arguments and these drama and let that go. Okay. So again, the same with the water card. The waves are crashing around, but again, standing strong, standing solid in the middle. Here there's a conflict as well going on. So and this could be represented that perhaps, depending where it comes up in a spread of what's going on around you, perhaps there is conflict going on around you at the moment. Perhaps there is this uncertainty and these energies clashing around you. But you have the wisdom to stand back, to observe, to really use past experience as a gauge as to how to engage and involve yourself or not in the situation that's around you. So just remembering all these different things that we're drawing in. Like here, sometimes the horses look like they're fighting, sometimes they look like they're playing. Again, it depends each time where they come up and what they look like. But, you know, horses are to do with strength, they're to do with, you know, movement, power. And so just remembering just what it looks like to you at the time, trusting your inspiration, trusting your intuition, realizing, you know, remembering that there's no hard and fast set meaning for every single one of these cards. That, you know, if you connect spiritually when you are doing a reading, that you'll just get a sense and a feel. All I'm trying to do here is help you break down the symbols, so when you are presented with them, you can use your intuition to work through them. Okay. So Della says, I just picked him in a 3-card spread. Wow. So, you know, it's showing you that you have the strength and the wisdom that you need to move forward. Yes, this explains it beautifully. Thank you. You're very welcome, Julie. So now we're moving on to the Queen. Now, the Queen and the King. You know, these are two of the most evolved in the deck, and I say that in that they've worked through their nonsense, they've worked through their limiting beliefs, they've worked through any illusions perhaps that they had keeping them trapped, and they are coming into their power. Okay, so when a king or a queen comes up, this is about someone standing in their power, recognizing their power, realizing the influence that they have in a situation. Now, the queen is obviously associated with the divine feminine aspects, the Shakti, the feminine rising, whereas the king is more to do with the divine masculine, the Shiva, and that energy within it. So again, depending on what level you're working at here, okay? So the queen is someone who, yes, they have their control over a situation, but they're also not taking any nonsense from anyone. They're realizing now that actually they're in full control. They don't have to listen to anyone else. But the queen is someone who takes more of intuitive, feeling their way through situations, allowing their intuition, their spiritual senses to guide them from a more nurturing and more creative flow and way of doing things. So perhaps if it comes up in a question or a reading about, you know, perhaps there's conflicts and things going on, there's disagreements happening, so a queen coming up might say, look, stand in your power, stay strong, but perhaps, you know, be more subtly persuasive, perhaps, you know, be more nurturing in your approach, see how the other person is feeling and come at it from that perspective. Whereas if it was a king card, it's like, be more, right, so from the masculine end of it, okay, so in this situation you need to be more assertive, you need to put your foot down, perhaps you need to think more logistically and you know, pragmatically in your approach to dealing with the situation. You know, it's about standing strong and being in your power and really really taking pragmatic logistical action. I know I kind of went round in a loop there, but that's the divine masculine aspect is action taking, okay, and being kind of authoritative and strong and firm in that. Okay, so I've missed some comments, so hang on, bear with me a second. Yes, it made sense to me. Good. Can't ride that wind without my steed, Paul says. Get a dragon then, Paul. Good, I'm glad it made sense. Malika says, I have to go now, but it was lovely joining this today. Thank you very much. Look forward to the next week. Take care and send healing and love energy to your toe. Thank you very much. Karen says, so glad you joined with me. See you later. Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for being here. So let's look at the Queen cards, okay? So we'll start with the Queen of Coins because she's someone who's very just stunningly beautiful. So the Queen of Coins, look how this coin is placed over her third eye chakra. So this is very much honouring, channeling down that divine light and to really help her be aware of her power, owning that goddess energy. She has that big gold coin behind her, so she really is the master of her happiness, her abundance, her fulfillment. Like, that's nothing worries her with regards to that aspect of her being. Okay, she's wearing a green dress with gold decoration, so again it's honoring that heart chakra, that connection with nature. There's flowers blooming, so she's really blooming and blossoming. There's growth happening, really in touch with her ability to receive communication from the universe. Now here we have the Queen of Wands, who is a very feisty and fiery character, and she knows her power, she knows her worth. Oh my goodness, she has confidence and real passion, and so you can see that from the red and the gold, again the red around her head. So she's strong in her convictions and her beliefs, and she has these gold coins around her head, so she's getting inspired with ideas and these nuggets of gold that are pouring into her from the heavens, and she has truly a strong conviction and belief in what she's doing because she knows she's bringing that in from the divine feminine. In her ears she has moons and stars, and I don't know if you can see triangles as well. So again, it's really honoring that she's receiving communication from spirit, and she's honoring reflecting, celebrating her connection with the divine. Okay, and again, you could go into that in more detail, just completely, you know, however deep you want to go into it. So here we have the Queen of Cups. So she is submerged in water. So she is happy in the realm of her emotions because she doesn't let them control her. You know, she has a lot of wisdom. You can see these pearls around her headdress and the white scarf around her head. So she really is bringing in pearls of wisdom from the divine. She's a very wise being. She's wearing white as well. So this again is connected with spirituality, high vibrations, and she's aware, like you can see here, the ripples in the water. She's aware of the influence she has on the world around her. Our thoughts affect our reality big time, and so she's aware of the ripple effect, the effect that that has rippling out away from her. That looks very much like my friend's mum, actually. Beautiful. And here we have the Queen of Swords. So again, all very different characters, you know, embodying the energy of the suit that they're in. Now she is, again, that light travelling in from above her head into her headdress over her third eye, with a purple gemstone over her third eye. So this is someone who is very much connected with that aspect of themselves. The little lights coming in over her headdress, it's inspiration coming in from spirit. Again, she is wearing almost like, reminds me a bit of Xena, warrior princess. It's armor, but it's sexy armor. So she is defended, she is protected energetically. She is a warrior woman and is proud of that. She's very much in control of her thoughts and she doesn't let that like run her life. What's going on mentally within her. And so much blue again, even her fingernails are blue. So this is associated with self-expression, being your true self, being authentically, genuinely who you are and in love with who you are. And that's so, so important. So I hope that that makes sense as we move now on to the king. So the king is someone who is the master of that, no messing around. So here's the King of Swords. He's rising up above the clouds, above the fog, on his throne there, angel wings spread wide. So very much aware of his divinity, his nobility, wearing that with pride. He has that sword in front of him, but he's not holding it to protect himself. He's not holding it to attack anybody. He's content in the knowledge that he has the wisdom. And that's all that matters. Sorry, I got distracted then. So this is the Legacy of the Divine pack, Claire. Legacy of the Divine. I don't think they're in print anymore. I've tried to get some more decks of them, and they're quite pricey because I don't think anyone's printing them anymore. I will take a photo of the book that comes with them so you can see if you can trace them. I believe they're the same. It's the same artist as the ones that Janine has been posting about, and Malika as well. So again, you can see the blue, almost indigo in colour now. So again, and with the purple triangle above his head channeling down, this is about trust and connection with the universe and the divine, being the master of your own thoughts. All right. So Karen says she's got butterflies behind the king. Now butterflies are symbols of transformation, about spiritual energy coming in. You know, it could be to bring that delicate energy to the strong masculine energy. So here we have the King of Coins. So again, those gold green pillars behind, the gold in front. This is all to do with spiritual support and connection. That green triangle, it's like honouring that divinity. Heart chakra colour, gold in his clothes. He's really in charge, very strong, very stoic, and really in charge of his own happiness, and his happiness is protected and defended. It's not going to be influenced by anyone coming in and trying to shake that. So again, the King of Wands we have here. So someone, again, very much in charge. This is almost like a Chinese emperor. Very strong, very passionate, fire in the belly. But red is associated with all the things connected with our root chakra. So power, confidence, determination, strength, and yeah, holding the wand in his hand. He's in complete control of the direction that he's going in his life. There's no one influencing that, and he's even honoring the dragons in the background in those flags to say, like, he's aware that spirit are helping him in many ways along his journey. And lastly but not least, we have the King of Cups. So someone we touched on this earlier, someone who's in charge of his emotions, who can look at them, look at them from a perspective of like, right, I can see them and I can observe them, I can judge them without letting them really take over and rock the boat in his life. Okay, so again, a lot of spiritual support shown here. One important thing about our emotions is our ability to articulate them, and so the fact that he's wearing blue, there's blue and green all around him, is someone who is able to articulate their emotions, to see them for what they are, to trust in that spiritual aspect of the journey and know things where they are just temporarily, and that you don't have to let all your emotions come in like a tidal wave. You can sit and observe them and work through them and ask, well, why has this come up? What do I need to work on as a result of being aware of this emotion, if that makes sense? So those are those. So Deb says, I have butterflies and a large white feather in front of the king. Crystal Ametrine. How beautiful. So again, butterflies are to do with spirit being around. They're to do with transformation. The white feather, I mean, it's to do with purity, with the angels supporting you, flight, movement forward. And I'm not sure about Ametrine. It's not one that I've worked with, but if it's something that you work with, I think you do work with crystals, Deb. It's definitely something to tap into. There are tarot decks that have crystals in each and every one. So if again, it's another layer. If that's something that you work with, then definitely use that as a symbolic tool as well. I mean, you can do crystal readings where, like with a bag of runes, you just pull out a crystal and you can do a reading just from the crystal that you've drawn to. What is that saying that you need at this time? What wisdom is this channeling in from the crystal deities and the spirits of the crystals? What is that bringing in for you at this particular time? What do you need to hear from the universe at this particular time? There's so many different ways of receiving information from source and what have you. So this is just one method. Karen says, my King of Pentacles is so dark. I think it's fruits he's covered in. Is yours is the same on the other deck? So what am I looking for? The King of Pentacles. I've lost them. Where have I put them? Here. King of Pentacles. Okay, yes, it does look a little bit dark. But it could be, I mean, looking at this, yes, there is the black there, and depending on how many layers you go through this, this has got grapes. Julie says he's got grapes around him. He's got grapes all over his robes there. So that's about things coming to fruition, about the seeds that you've planted growing and are ready to bear fruit. So it shows that work has gone in to get you to where you are today. Now, black is not necessarily dark. It's not necessarily a negative thing. It can be that you're honoring, you're wearing like a badge of honor the things that you've been through. If you've been through trauma, if you've been through difficult times, you're honoring that, you're recognizing that, you're not suppressing that and letting that go, but actually allowing that negativity to come to the surface, to work through it. It's not pretending that it doesn't exist. You can't go through this life pretending there's no darkness, but it's light and dark, it's the yin and the yang. And often it's, if you're looking at white and black as masculine and feminine, white is masculine, black is feminine. So this could just be the fact that he's honoring the feminine on his throne, and that's why, a lot of the feminine arts and the feminine wisdom and the moon practices was so relegated to evil and superstition because they took place at night, because the moon comes out under the dark of night, that there was this fear around that. And that's why a lot of this negative associations, this fear of witches and witchcraft and what have you, came about, is because it's associated like yin and yang, light and dark. It doesn't mean that it's negative or bad. It's not what we think of as, oh, light is good and dark is bad. It's not that at all. It's just opposites. It's just one of the aspects of life. Does that make sense? So Karen says yours is so much darker. Well, like here there's I mean, it looks like there's a little bit of a skull on the floor there, but it could be to say that he's just conquered his demons and he's now he's standing in his power quite happily. There's a lot of flowers growing on the floor as well. And there's vines growing. So there's a lot of growth here. There's, he's wearing a red scarf, so he's very confident in the way he speaks and what he says to the world. Karen, why don't you take a photo of it, Karen, and put it in the comments so we can have a little look at it between us all, and kind of pick it apart and dissect it and see what we see in that card. Please feel free to do that, any of you. If you have got a card that you want to share in the comments for us all to have a look at, please do that. Oh, hi Robin, thank you for joining, lovely. Hello, beautiful. And I can see, there's the bull's head coming through. That's, there's Taurus, it's strength, it's confidence, it's determination. So again, it's just being wary of, what you associate with something just because of a misunderstanding. Again, go with what it feels like to you, and if you feel uncomfortable about it, and when it comes up in a spread, go, well, maybe you're being too confident about something, maybe you're being too assertive about something, maybe you need to soften a little bit, maybe you need to bring more of that divine feminine if there's too much of the masculine in there, in your persona and your approach to dealing with a certain situation. Maybe it needs to soften. So look at it like from that perspective, perhaps. Yes, fantastic, thank you. Yes, share a picture. So we've covered a lot today, my friends, so thank you so much for joining here and being here. I hope that you found it valuable. Now, it has been free today, but all of your donations are gratefully received and really, really deeply appreciated. I'm not earning a lot of money at the moment, and this is a group that I run outside in the real world. So if you have enjoyed, no obligation, but there is a link to my PayPal tip jar in the description above this. So I appreciate you for donations. Now, next week, what I plan to cover are little bits and bobs that we haven't covered yet. So I want to look at reverse cards. I want to look at how to pose the right questions, about setting intentions when you do a reading, and even looking at spreads as well. See if we've got enough time to put all of that in. So if you have got any questions, anything I haven't covered yet that you really, really have a burning desire to know to help you with your practice, please let me know or save them for next week. Write them down wherever you're keeping your notes, and we will make sure that we get it covered next week for you. Okay? Now, we've got a couple of weeks left. We've got 2 more of these. I've decided to do this as a 6-part series, so we've got 2 left. After the next 2 sessions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this into become an interactive group session where we'll go on Zoom, we'll be able to see each other, we'll be able to look at each other's cards in real time, and perhaps even start to work on doing readings for one another with this intuitive approach, with me there and with a group of us there to connect, to help each other look at these cards symbolically, to really help you get to know your own deck and to give you confidence in expressing. Because one of the hardest things about tarot, you can learn all of this theory, you can learn how to do it intuitively, but one of the hardest things is actually articulating what it is that you are seeing symbolically. And it's not something that you can learn from a book. It's not something that you can learn from sitting down and doing readings for yourself. This is something that you need to develop by doing readings for other people. And, we practice on our friends, that's great, but sometimes we need to practice on people that we don't know so very well. And so that's what I hope to accomplish with these Zoom calls, this group session. So if anybody's interested in that, please let me know. I can pop your name down, and it's probably not going to be a daytime. It's probably going to be an evening, like a tea time evening thing. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to start another course, so I'm not going to be stopping these daytime trainings. It's just not going to be tarot in the day. I'm going to start to do other things, looking more at different aspects of the spiritual path, different aspects of personal development and self-mastery, perhaps looking even at natural healing, Ayurveda, self-love practices. Some people have asked me to create video trainings on Ayurvedic acupressure, massage and things like that. So I'm, you know, again on the whole ethos and mission to give people tools that they can use to help them on their healing journey, on their spiritual journey. I'm going to start bringing in different training sessions to help with different aspects of well-being as well. So just to let you know that those things are coming up in the pipeline, with other group programs coming too. I'm actually going to be running an online centered, aligned and connected program, to replace the one that I would have been running in the real world, and I might even bring that start date forward a little bit. I'm also planning on doing a psychic and spiritual awareness group program as well, for anyone who is ready and at that point on their journey to really expand their consciousness, to open their third eye and their crown chakra and really start connecting on a deeper level with their spirit guides, with the universe and with their own soul mission in this world. So that's all coming up in the pipeline as well. So if any of that sparks your interest, do let me know. Zoom group sounds fantastic. Thank you, Julie. Lots of love to you, Janine. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're interested. Claire says, yes, it's beautiful, Holly, to listen to you talk about the tarot. Thank you, Claire. It's something that I am so passionate about. Very valuable as usual. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, everyone. I am so grateful. I love this little family that we've got going in this group. You know, please invite any friends that you think, you know, would find this stuff valuable, that are interested in developing this aspect of themselves. You know, the more the merrier. This is a safe space. I think a lot of the time, though this is changing very much now in the new paradigm that we're heading into, but I think people are nervous about reaching out and exploring their spirituality. So let them know this is a private group. This is you know, what you post in here doesn't get seen anywhere else on Facebook, and the privacy restrictions mean that what happens in the group stays in the group, so you don't have to worry about that. You can come and explore in here safely, ask any questions that you may have. I'm going to be doing some live Q&As to help people on a range of different topics, and you know, I'm going to, you know, start doing podcasts. I've got so many things, again, you know, to reawaken my podcast that I've left dormant for a little while. So, you know, any questions, any subjects you want me to cover, you know, I love suggestions. You know, I want to create what you need at this time, that you want to receive at this time. So yeah, I'm just trying to be of service, my friends. So if no one has any questions that they want to ask, you know, about what we've covered today, or perhaps that you would like to see me cover in next week's session, sorry, my thing's opening up again. So yeah, I'm gonna sign off from today's session, but I deeply appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being here. If you have watched the replay as well, thank you for sticking around till the very end, and I look forward to connecting with you all. If not in the next week, then next week. Don't forget that I do run meditation sessions every Thursday morning over in my soul-centered meditation group. It would be lovely to have you there as well. So until I see you next, or speak to you next, my friends, take good care, and bye bye for now. Mwah.